is Mr. Gore. So please go ahead and unmute your mic and we'll get started.
Excellent. How are you reading me?
I'm reading you very clearly. Thank you. All right.
Awesome.
So for those who do not know who you are or what it is you do, why don't you go ahead and give us that?
I'm Tom Gore, actor, retired Army Apache Longbow helicopter pilot, currently working on my master's in Loughborough University for storytelling, and the current oldest international American football player.
I think that's pretty cool.
And I'm a nose tackle.
No,
I'm not one of those fast guys.
Not that you don't catch or throw the thing and run around
I'm in the trenches delivering the hits.
I think that's what we do. You're in the right place right now, because that's what we're about ready to do. So give us a little bit of a background on what it is that you did for Beneath the Old Dark House.
I play the character Lou during the segment of The Bride and did some of the practical effects. And it was just a fun time. I don't think Matt will ever get his deposit back from what we did to that house. Blood was everywhere. Practical blood went everywhere. It was the stuff that wasn't on camera put in the movie was its own movie in itself, and it was a treasure to behold.
Go ahead and let him in.
Somebody said his name 3 times.
I know. Damn. Okay, we have the essence of you, but we do not see you. All right, so we're just going to move along. Next person up is Jeff, and I thank you, Tom. And Jeff, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Good evening. Pleasure to be here, Jackie.
Thank you. One second. Tyler, you're going to have to give me a few minutes before I go and I check your audio and all of that fun stuff. Please mute your mic. Thank you. Go ahead, Jeff.
Oh, no, just happy to be here. Wonderful to see everybody, especially I think we're getting some people from different countries. I got Mike from Canada. Tom, you're coming to us from England. Wonderful to have everybody.
Absolutely. All right. So, Jeff, go ahead and tell people that don't know who you are, what it is you do, and a little bit about your background.
My name is Jeff Leinbach. I'm an occasional actor. I have a regular day job, but on the weekends and sometimes in the evenings, I like to do some stage work and also some work in independent film, because I think independent film is some of the freshest, most invigorating storytelling out there. And I just love to be a part of it. For Beneath the Old Dark House, I actually had 2 roles, one in the segment of The Bride, where I was a restaurant patron, and then a larger role in The Doll, where I played a sleazy lawyer. I don't know. I think maybe I get typecast. I'm not sure.
What was your character like, the first character? Was he kind of lurking, or was he like, doing something he shouldn't have been doing?
I was just not a nice guy. I was a little bit of a womanizer and hit on the waitress and was a little handsy with her.
You were the guy. That's all right. I read up on you. Very convincing, though. Very, very convincing. So that's all part of being an actor. You have theater background?
Yes, I do a lot of local theater with a couple of different organizations. I've been doing that for many, many years. Took a little break while I had a family and everything, and then been back at it for about the last 8 years. Do a lot of comedy. I think comedy is pretty easy, at least for me. I mean, I've got the face for it.
Comedy is really important in horror too.
Yeah, it helps break the tension, and I like characters that can maybe bring smile or a laugh to an audience, and then right before the film turns around and nails them with some
I know.
scary parts.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. We're going to go now over to Mike. Hello, Mike Trebilcock. Go ahead and unmute.
Oh, I
Hey.
forgot how to
I
unmute
know.
there for a
You
second.
should have seen me. I was doing a TikTok and I did a live, and I've done a couple of lives on TikTok. I couldn't figure out how to get it to stop doing the live.
Yeah, stuff you've done.
You know what I had to do? I had to go ask
Just
my
unplug the whole thing.
well, I tried. I couldn't do that. I had to go over to my set designer Lee. Yeah, she fixed it.
Nice.
All right, so Mike, for those of us who do not know who you are or what it is you do,
I'm
Out
Mike
with it.
Trebilcock. Oh, I'm a film composer. I did the music for Beneath the Old Dark House. I'm mostly a film composer. I also do some theater stuff and some rock and roll stuff. So just all around musician, I guess, but mostly film composer for a lot of indie films, because indie film is sort of the new punk rock. So that's where I like to hang out.
what is it about indie film that arouses the creativity within you to be able to create the music that goes in behind these kinds of pieces?
Well, for me, I also make films too. So I think it's about the DIY spirit sort of thing, doing everything yourself and problem solving, figuring out how things need to work, and doing it, sometimes doing things in a different way. If things don't work out the way you expect them to work out, you've got to really roll with the punches with indie films.
That's all indie. That's I did a film about 6 years ago. It was 24 degrees out there, and it was some filming where we were allowed to come in. They invited us to come in and go do the filming, and then there was some guerrilla filming going on in the 24-degree weather. But if you want that piece, if you want that kind of realism to go into your film, you got to do the thing, and you got to look like you're happy you're doing it in that kind of weather. I think when you go and you create an indie for film, you have a real kind of like a enjoyment of doing the creative process to begin with. Not like something like you're like, well, this is your day job and you have to go do it. It brings out a little bit more of your real side.
It's a labor of love for sure. It has to be.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Mike. We're going to go now to David. David, go ahead and unmute your mic.
I am unmuted.
Thank you.
Oh.
How are you doing?
I'm not bad. How are you?
I a little nervous, but I think that's all part of it. So for those of us who do not know who you are, what it is you do, go ahead and let us have it.
Okay. I played Albert Stripling in the third segment of Beneath the Old Dark House, The Witch. I am a teacher full-time, and way back when I was listening to Jeff, I'm a theater major from way back when, got involved in indie films about 15 years ago, and had a lot of fun doing it.
So your part within this particular film.
Yes, ma'am. It's the third segment, The Witch, playing opposite Brink Stevens. I'm someone that goes to her as a historian, and as the story develops, you find out that there are other reasons for my being there. I don't want to give too much away.
Nefarious reasonings?
No.
Oh.
I'm the good guy, I guess you could say.
See, there are good guys in horror
right.
film. Yeah,
They don't survive, but they're there.
They don't get necessarily the best lines either, but I think you got a couple of really good lines in this one.
No, yeah.
I think you did good.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
I tried.
absolutely. All right, we're gonna go now over to Tyler Hall. Tyler, go ahead and unmute. Thank you.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hey. All right.
Look at all these familiar faces. What's up, guys?
I hope so. Yeah, right. All right. So I don't know if they want to admit that they know you, but I think, they should be pretty familiar. So Tyler, for those of us who do not know who you are or what it is you do, why don't you let us have it?
Yeah, I'm Tyler Hall. I grew up in the Appalachian Mountains, right here in Shenandoah Valley. Met all these cats doing indie filmmaking. I was a lot younger than I am now when I met those dudes. Now I'm currently a law enforcement officer and just trying to keep filmmaking alive within myself, and working on a couple of projects right now, but just focusing on my career.
Cool. So what is it that you did? What was your part for this film, Beneath the Old Dark House?
Yeah, so I was credited as an editor for this project, director of photography, and also assistant director. So I've got a plethora of credits on this one, but probably the biggest one being the cinematography credits, director of photography on a couple segments.
Awesome. All right. So I have notes everywhere. As a matter of fact, I've got like 4 or 5 notebooks of things that I want to have a discussion on. So we're going to go, let's see. I want also Matt Cloude to be represented here. So which of you would like to give a tribute to Matt Cloude for his production, or whom would know the most about it? Which one? Raise your hand.
Nose goes, not me.
Jeff, you want to go? All right, go ahead.
Sure, I'll do that.
Appreciate you. Thank you. Because I do want to have him represented here.
Well, I think the biggest credit to Matt is he has so much creativity, not just in filmmaking, but in storytelling. He's also a very talented artist for comic book art. He designs T-shirts. He's just a guy that's got so much creative energy within him and a lot of passion for it, which I think is important because if you can't bring the passion to the project, there's really not much point in doing it. And he has so many stories to tell, and he's just an amazing guy on the set. He's behind the camera, he's in front of the camera, he's setting shots, he's discussing cinematography, he's discussing lighting, he's providing the food. He's a whirlwind of energy, and he keeps it nice and light, but at the same time also extremely professional. And what he really brings to the scene is he's a true horror fan. So when he comes at this, it's as a fan, just trying to create and recreate some of the things that he loved most about horror. And he's still got tons of stories to tell. As a matter of fact, one of the reasons he's probably not here tonight is because he's back on set tomorrow filming in the same universe as Beneath the Old Dark House with Coffin Tooth. So I know he doesn't just wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to film today. No, there's a lot of behind the scenes preparation to make it as effective as possible when he gets everybody together to make a project.
Now, I did, like I said, I did a little bit of research on this film, and what I have found is that but he didn't want to call it a sequel. He wanted to have it as a standalone. So is it still going to be called Beyond the Old Dark House?
No, this one's going to be called Coffin Tooth, which Coffin Tooth was the character in the wraparound story for the for the 3 shorter versions, and this explores more of the history of Coffin Tooth and is devoted solely to the character. He's not just a small part in between. This is all Coffin Tooth's own movie.
So I wanted to also give a shout out to the Scream Queens that weren't able to make it this evening because apparently they're also doing more work. Whom here has a really good understanding of the Scream Queens? Anybody want to raise your hand?
You just
I'm not
mean
sure.
like in general, like in film, like in horror film history,
Yeah,
like in
for
general?
the names of the people, I already have the names of the people, but I wanted someone that had a little bit of background with them to be able to give them, you know, a hand up for what they did in this film. And I'd like one of the representatives here to be able to help me do that. Who wants to help me do that?
Probably one of the actors. Let's see.
Okay, go ahead. I'll get it. All right, Mike, you got a big smile on your face. Unmute that mic.
Well, it's because I don't really know. So
Okay, so
you'll have to,
that's cool. I'll go and I'll do it.
I'll
Myself.
I can chip in, I guess, a little bit. I worked with Kaylee Williams and Brink Stevens. They are 2 that I guess by definition are scream queens,
Right.
particularly Brink Stevens, who has done an incredible number of projects.
So we have, I got notes on Brink Stevens. She did Slumber Party Massacre, and to my writing here, Sorority Babes, or Baborama, Sorority Baborama, and man, I got to get better writing. Woo! And Kaylee Williams, she did Model Hunger and Mrs. Claus and the Barn, Part 2. And then there was Christy Johnson. Did you do any work with her?
I've worked with Christy on another project of Matt's, the Night of the Living Dead Genesis.
Right. Yeah.
Which is still on the shelf. I hope someday it'll see the light of day. I don't know if I'm guardedly optimistic it will. And I'm looking at Tyler as I say that because I think it's when we met, was it not?
When was that?
Night of
David?
the Living Dead Genesis, and that when we
Oh
met?
yeah.
A long time ago.
Out in Rileyville.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let me see. Where do I want to go from here? We're going to go over to Tom Gore. So acting along with special effects. Were there any special effects that you were asked to do that you found a little bit more difficult to do, or something that you used with a new product?
No. It was mostly fun. That was the bigger challenge, was having fun. And you know, when you're doing it, you're not worried about tertiary effects.
Right.
You're worried about safety. You're worried about making sure the camera gets the exact gory, disgusting blood splatter effect. You're not worried about staying up till 4 or 5 a.m. on a ladder, painting the ceiling white again. Like, yeah, me and Tyler Tyler did most of the grunt work. That he was up there like Da Vinci on the Sistine Chapel, trying to turn the ceiling white again. I think it's still covered in blood.
I think we used spray paint.
Yeah, it was not coming back.
Yeah.
Can you see the screen? From my side of things, I have a screenshot up on the board.
Yes.
Good. All right. So Coffin Tooth. What about this particular character was the most interesting coming from a special effects artist?
I could not talk about Coffin Tooth because I was not privy to any of the glorious, gory action during
Ah,
those segments. That would be Tyler, who I'm pointing at.
Yeah, I
to.
could probably speak on that a little bit.
okay, wonderful. Go ahead.
Dig deep in my brain here. It's been a minute. So yeah, I think when Matt was writing this, really this project started in probably 2013 with the Bride segment, which was the
That
one
was the
that
first piece. Yeah.
Tom Gore is in, and he acted in, and then did all kinds of special effects for, and just grunt work, grip, everything else that Tom did in that segment. But anyway, so this project grew from 2013 all the way until it was distributed this year, or 2022. So it took a while to get out there. But Coffin Tooth, I think, came around when Matt decided that he needed a wraparound for this anthology. Once they knew that it was going to continue with distribution, he said, well, okay, now we're going to make a pretty gnarly wraparound. And that's when he created the character Coffin Tooth there. I think the mask was designed by Matt and Lewis Brown, who is the owner of Darkwood Manor, which is a pretty notorious haunted house here on the East Coast. So yeah, with Lewis and Matt's brilliant minds, they created that spooky figure you see right there, known as Coffin Tooth. So that's kind of how Coffin Tooth was created. As far as what Matt was trying to, what his inspirations from the character was, I couldn't really speak on that, but I just know that it's a pretty, eerie character. I think he was just trying to make something to give a homage to 80s horror films and 80s slasher films with like a monster twist to it as well. So
Absolutely. And the photo that we have up here now.
yeah, it's David, I think.
Is this the home in which everything happens?
That's in the segment The Witch, I believe, David. Is that correct?
Yes, that's the exterior. Well, from the Witch. Yes.
And you were part of this particular piece?
That's the one that I was in, the third
Right,
segment, The Witch. And we did some work in there, and then we did some work at Darkwood. The scene in the beneath the old dark house, actually underneath, was done at Darkwood Manor.
A lot of it.
Go ahead.
That's a very familiar house. I filmed two other movies at that exact
In-
house.
Oh, yeah.
So what house?
That's an old farmhouse in
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
340.
Well, actually, that house, really, that shot right in that doorway was the only stuff we did there. We went, Tyler, I'm blanking on the name of the hotel that we filmed in. We actually did the upstairs scenes.
Over in, I think that was over in Strasbourg, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I should have done my research. I don't remember.
Or no, that was over Middletown. I'm not sure it's an old historic inn.
It's an old inn. It's an old inn. I don't remember the name of it. Yeah.
Off 81 there. Yeah. I'm not entirely sure the name of that one, but yeah. So we filmed The Witch was, for the most part, shot in that hotel.
Yeah.
We just made it look like an estate.
Right.
And then that's the exterior of the
Right.
estate. So we just kind of combined the two locations there to create that. And I still haven't even seen the movie yet, so I don't know how well it paired up. So it's interesting. I'm interested to watch it. I can't wait.
Who was the one that worked on the doll, and what would they like to talk about this particular segment of the anthology?
It'd be Jeff and I.
Okay, Jeff, go ahead. I'm gonna get out of the way. That's a creepy ass doll.
Yeah, it certainly is. I've got some pictures from when we did the opening for it at the Alamo Draft House. I've got some pictures with the actual doll, and I think it's It's pretty scary on film, but it's twice as scary in real life. I mean, it's a incredibly creepy doll. Matt designed the doll, and it just, yeah. Sometimes I wake up and I can't get back to sleep. I'm seeing that doll. But it is it's a central part of the story. Obviously, it's named after it, and it has some special powers. And
it grants wishes, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Much like the monkey's paw, you got to be careful what you wish for, because you don't get exactly what you intended. But yeah, that was a great day. We filmed at another location, just a small little farmhouse, and yeah, the doll was on set, and I think there's a scene later on where Christy Johnson is throwing the doll in the garbage, and I mean, I'm not so sure how much of that was acting and how much of it was she really wanted to get rid of that thing, get it out of there.
But that's good. It adds to the character. It also adds to the element of terror.
Yes. Being an inanimate object, there's some really neat things that Matt and Tyler did to sort of give that thing some life. And yeah, it was just as creepy to see it in action as the film was rolling as it is on film.
Let's see if I can pull up some other photos from those. I have a number of shots from the film. Well, I wonder who this guy is.
Behind the scenes of Matt.
Yeah. So I wanted to make sure that I got some up in here so that we could actually say he made it on, even though
that's in another hotel. We filmed a lot in hotels for this movie.
I was part of a horror hotel. There's a film festival, and there was this one hotel that just, man, the first time I got to this place, because there was a couple of times that we went back there were, I don't know, was it crickets or what is that thing that makes that really loud noise? It's creepy as heck.
Cicadas.
Thank you. Yes. They were highly active, and when we came in there, it was really foggy, and it was pretty early in the morning because we were trying to get there early to set up, and we're coming across this bridge, and I'm watching the fog, and I'm like, where we're going and all of this, it's just okay. Is this supposed to be some sort of a warning or something? So we get a little bit closer. We're like maybe 6 miles out, and I start hearing this sound. It's familiar, but I'm like, I haven't heard it in like ages. And I'm like, what is that? And at first it's really like a low drone. And then we get closer and it gets louder and louder. And across from the hotel is a huge field, trees and marsh and all of that. And I'm like, there's the fog, there's this noise. And then I turned around and I look at the hotel, and I'm expecting someplace kind of nice, It looks like the Bates Motel. And I'm like, and he's got to drop me off because he's got some stuff he's got to do. I'm going to be alone in there. And I'm like, I told him like 3 or 4 times, I don't want to go in there. And I'm going to be by myself. And he goes, nah, you can handle this. It's all good. I ended up not going outside until he got back. And for me, not being outside is kind of an issue. So I was like, just a little bit scared. I have to do a couple of shout outs. We have Eulogy Mortem. We have Jewel. I can never say your last name, so I'm not going to do it. We also have Jade in here, and this creepy guy that keeps following me everywhere. Yeah, he's back. So yeah. So hey, thanks for showing up, guys. If you have any questions or anything like that, is a movie. Oh, Kenneth wants to know if the movie Beneath the Old Dark House is on streaming and where we can see it.
I don't believe I don't believe you can stream it at this time. I don't know if that's something that their Scream team is going to have in the future, but you can buy it on, I believe it's Scream Team releasing. Is that correct, Jeff?
I want to get
That is correct. You can get it on Blu-ray.
Yeah, look at that.
And also limited edition VHS.
You guys, when who wants to talk about the fact that this thing came out originally on VHS, which I thought was so cool.
That distribution company they're awesome. They put out a lot of different stuff, and The Barn probably being one of their biggest titles. At least it's a household name for the indie horror community, and I would even argue into more popularity of horror. Scream Team's put out a lot of cool stuff, and they're all about the old school, like homage to 70s, 80s horror.
Matt definitely he is committed wherever he can. He wants to pay that homage and just have as much as possible put out on VHS, because we all remember going to Blockbuster Video to get your VHS copies in the VHS store. That was how you watched all these movies. I missed that. And they became cult classics.
Yes, absolutely. And we got there was just something very, I don't know, just nostalgic about going and being able to do that, pick your movie out and, a couple of bags of popcorn or whatever, and sit there and watch it. The feel of a VHS is different than a DVD. Who wants to talk about that?
I'll speak on that a little bit. As far as what we were going for like imagery for this film and a lot of these segments, we were trying to play homage to that style of filmmaking, and like I used Sony FS100 on a few of these segments, and that's got a super 35 millimeter sensor in it, and that's an old school wide format sensor, and it shines through, at least in some of the post-production stuff that I got to see. I didn't get to edit this film, and I haven't watched it either, but at least the stills and some of the post-production work that I got to witness to, I think it shined through that we were trying to make not only like an appealing looking image that looked like cinema, but it also had that grit and texture and paid homage to 70s and 80s horror, and that's what we were going for.
That I wasn't exactly sure if the coloration was going to come out right when I was putting the shots onto the screen, but I did like that it definitely had the feel of an 80s film. And there are a number also of breadcrumbs paying homage to films from the past, and I am wondering if anybody wants to speak on that. Tom, you've been quiet. Do you want to talk about the homages that were in this film, or in part of what you had your hands in?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, I can. I'm sorry. I had to find the unmute button. The Matt is a student of horror films. He studies them, he lives them. He has monthly rewatch-a-thons to just reinforce stuff he already knows. Something did he miss? Something did he see it at a different angle? So when he made each segment, including the wraparound, he's not just going in at it blind. He's done a bit of research. He's crafted each piece and portion. The Bride is obviously an homage to the Bride of Frankenstein. the you know the put you know, design your own bride, put your pieces together, and boom, voila, you know, soul notwithstanding. The doll, obviously, it's been done different ways over many different decades and eras of horror. And the same with the witch. I mean, the stories of the witches and everything from anything in the fairy world, from fairy tales, have been, you know, covered since time immemorial. I mean, so much so that, like, we pass them off as kids' tales now, whether it's Hansel and Gretel and a witch, or, you know, M. Night Shyamalan, Elaine Ding Dong telling us another story about the witch with a twist. And yeah, so Matt actually studies, like, wants to put his own footprint, his own greasy fingers deep into the cadaver of each of these tales, and that's what he's continuing to work on. And even at this very minute, is he's still making sure he's telling his stories with his perspective on them.
I want to see if I can get an actual clip. Go ahead, Mike.
I can say a little bit about the sort of vintage nature of the film as well.
Thank you.
From a musical perspective, it was Matt. I sort of did this one a lot different than most films I score. I didn't actually see the picture first. I was given sort of assignments, you know, over the few months by Matt, and just pieces that he needed to go here and there. And it was mostly, you know, stuff like, you know, John Carpenter and I guess John Harrison to some extent. Maybe that's more my influence, but so it was always old vintage synth driven soundtrack stuff that he was giving me to sort of emulate a little bit, to get that feel. There was one song that the girl was already dancing to the fix. One thing leads to another. And so since she was dancing to that, I had to have a song that was not only the same rhythm, but sort of the same era as well. So I there's a song called "What's in the Bag" in the movie as well. That could be a big hit.
So did you create any of your own sounds specifically for this film, or did you have things to work off of?
Yeah, it was all because just as a way of speaking, a lot of the times directors will give you, sometimes there's a temp score already in the film, and sometimes they'll just have touchstones that they want to communicate their idea, because often they're not musicians, they're you know, they're directors. So
Right.
so that's sort of how they speak, is through music clips, you know. So I sort of give them my own take on what they would like to hear.
The character Coffin Tooth is very important to this particular film. Who would like to talk about the essence of Coffin Tooth and allow for our audience to basically take a peek inside of his persona?
Who played Coffin Tooth? Before you get into that, because I love the actor, whoever
I
that was. I think they're amazing.
I have the name. I wrote it down. In all of my notes, where did I put it? Oh,
Was it was Jeremy Miller?
yeah. All right, I told you I had it. All right, so actually Jared Michael Miller.
Jared Miller.
And he is the one that played this character, and he really was very immersive in it, and that's why I was interested in getting some sort of perspective on this character. And did anybody work around him while he was in character? Was there any okay, so What did you feel from him as he was Coffin Tooth and not Jared?
So Jared as a person, he's probably one of the sweetest guys you'd ever come across. Like when he wasn't Coffin Tooth, he was helping me bring gear in from the vehicle into location, setting up lighting. He acted as a grip for us. He acted as a production assistant. He'd do anything in the world to make filming go smooth. And like the sweetest guy. When I say sweet, like he's just like the nicest dude ever. And then when he puts on that mask and that outfit, he just like gets in this weird range, and you wouldn't talk to him. Like he'd have this mask on, so he wasn't speaking or anything. He just like nod his head to Matt whenever Matt wanted him a certain place or do something different. He would just like shake his head, wouldn't say anything. So like, I don't know what influenced him to get into that persona and to be Coffin Tooth, but he just was not Jared inside of that. And that's all I can say about it, really. He just was like the coolest, nicest, sweetest dude ever, help you do anything. And then he's now this creepy monster, and that he's not talking through this mask. It was kind of weird.
Thank you. David, you're an actor, you have acting experience. Let's talk a little bit about what it's like for you to get into a character. Pick a character that has had the most sinister side, and give me a bit of conversation on what it's like for you to get into that role and how you sustain it.
A character that I've played that has the most sinister side. Oh, wow. A few years ago, I played a Nazi scientist on a film called Zombiepalooza, directed by Robert Elkins. I don't know if some of you are familiar with Robert or not. And well, what more can you say? Nazi and scientist in the same sentence pretty much sums up the sinister level. And I didn't really do a lot of research or anything, but it just sort of came,
Did it come natural?
Natural. No, I don't want to say that. Well,
whoa!
My wife is over here laughing. She heard that.
I did too. I heard that too. I think a few other people heard it. I think maybe what you mean is that you took from
Don't worry,
other...
David. Not too many people are watching, brother. You're good.
Thank you. Tyler?
Tyler, you know me too well, though. Be careful.
I can mute your mic, Tyler, on my side.
That's fine.
Let him talk. It's been too long since I've heard from him. Let him talk.
That's okay. He can mute. You're
It's
in my
Uncle David.
Tyler, you're in my house. Thank you. All right. So you were saying.
But well, anyway, getting back to the sinister aspect of it, even though I have to say this in his defense, a Nazi scientist, his intent was noble, because what had happened in this film is that his wife has died and he's trying to resurrect her by using the brains of other women. So there's some nobleness to the sinisterness, I guess you could say. And
there is
laughing hysterically again.
Usually in character, though, there is never a character that is completely and totally, shall we say, evil, right, or completely and totally dark.
Absolutely.
There is a reason behind their hurt or their pain or their anger, or their desire to like rip everything down, because a lot of times they've had that done to them, or they feel like they can't adjust in whatever natural real society is. So let's have a discussion on that level.
There has to be, I think, some sort of empathy the audience would have to have toward even the most sinister of characters. Otherwise, you're not going to have any interest from your audience, and audiences are going to want to watch it.
Right. And the acting process, although you kind of like candidly said, that's not that difficult. Maybe because you've done it for a while, maybe because you have either had some acting skill from other things, or you paid attention to how actors that you appreciate would evolve that particular character or something like it. Please have a little discussion about that.
I would agree with that. I think there are talkers and there are listeners, and I'm definitely a listener, and I take in a lot of what other people say and do, and I think maybe some of that has something to do with it. You know, powers of observation, maybe.
Right. Right. Okay, so I'd like to have this same discussion with Jeff. Would you go ahead and unmute and have your opinion about the topic?
Yeah, it's fascinating. You know, there's lots of different schools of thought on how to create a character. Some people are method actors where they just become and immerse themselves in the character, and they don't like to be addressed as themselves. They want to be addressed as the character. There's spur of the moment, and I think it's just, you know, finding those moments in your own life and latching onto it, and for whatever you need to create, and just kind of just delving deep into that. I mean, I have all the respect in the world for method actors because they truly create some great characters that leave an impression with you. Me, I don't know. I'm not that serious about it. You know, when I was doing stuff on stage, you know, I'd be backstage telling a joke, and I'd be like, hold on, I got to go on. And then I go on, be the character, come back and say, okay, so the guy goes in, you know, and just pick up where I left off. But maybe, you know, that's just my personality. I don't get too serious about things. Now, you had up earlier a picture of Paul Cyber from the segment The Bride, and he became the character, and he was pulling
that
from
picture. When I went to go look through these pictures, that picture, like, man, it just grabbed me. I was like, this guy, he is, where the heck did the photo get? There. Oh, there he is. Man, if you saw all this stuff that I'm looking at right now.
And
there.
I talked to him a little bit about the character the day that I was on set with him, and he said, you know, I pulled a lot from Norman Bates, and you know, I tried not to move my arms too much when I walked, and keep things very sort of thing. I tried not to blink so much, and I mean, that's just some great character study right there. You can see just in that picture, there's a lot going on in the mind of that character.
When I saw this, all of what you just said, yes, and I'm like, man, that's got a familiarity to me. But as they say, a picture, you know, has 1,000 words. When you go into character, a lot of times it's really important to be able to stay in that, to not have conversation with anybody else, or to stay in your own specified area as best you can, because, well, you might not always be able to be in that space, but your mind, after a while, when you're in that character, it literally becomes the character, and there is nothing outside of what is happening in your thought process other than, these are the things that I'm what do I want to say to you? They will look at maybe sometimes specific objects that are in the set, or they will listen to a certain kind of music in the background if they're offset and they've got to stay in the character. So music also helps the actor stay in the line of the focus for where they need to be. Let's talk to Mike about that in a minute after you finish.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, you know, I can't wait till you get to Tom Gore about this, because talking about the music and everything, Tom, one of the things that I just absolutely love you in is very short, is Zach Wilde's Let Sleeping Dogs Lie video. You create such a great character in that. And I can't wait to hear you talk about how you get your characters.
Yeah,
All right. Great
100%.
segue. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, 100% of that character's brilliance is in the dialogue.
I don't think that's what he wanted. I don't, but a good answer, spot on right there. But can you give me a little bit of what Jeff was talking about, because he really does appreciate what you brought to that character.
Yeah, when I was sitting down with Justin, when we were going over everything, he explained to me everything that was going to happen, and half of acting is reacting. Your scene partner is going to give you drama. Your scene partner is going to give you an opening. It's going to give you a setup. Your scene partner is going to stab you and you're going to scream. Your scene partner is going to be a cuddly, fluffy dog that's not going to bite your throat out. You know, your scene partner is half of your show. Whether it's one person, 5 people, whether you're a group of people on a bus trip heading to the mall for the last time, whatever it is, your scene and your job is as an actor is to also react, to give the audience a basis of reality, so that way they understand how they're supposed to feel in case for some reason they're conflicted with the scene. They can look to you as your reaction as a guide to know that this is normal for the story we're telling. It helps create a suspension of disbelief. It helps carry further on the illusion that this is actually happening. And the longer you can keep this illusion up, the longer your audience is invested. So when I got to do Sleeping Dogs, me and Justin going over this, and his thing was, my reaction was not to react, to let every one of those events just hit me as if everything else in my life was way bigger than everything else that was coming at me on screen. And I mean, we lit a guy on fire in that video. Literally, that was 100% practical. The car stunts, the collisions, the explosions, some of the explosions were post, but a lot of the explosions, if it affected me because it was an actual tangible real life explosion blast, it was a real life explosion blast. It was done with sand and balsa wood, but you know, no real hard fragmentation. It didn't pierce the skin. The water balloons didn't even come up on camera. I was soaking wet by the end of that, and you didn't even get to see one water balloon get thrown at me. My back was pelted by cherries, so I had, for like 3 days, I had bruises from Joe Harp just chucking cherries at me, hard pit cherries. It was, and you know, and like it just sits there and just bounces off me, and I'm like, man, I don't emote at all. But yeah, it was a hoot, really. I'm so glad that went viral.
Wow. It's pretty intense though, you know.
Oh yeah, it was.
It all indie can be very raw and allow for extreme guttural reaction and content that can grab you so deep that you start dreaming about it, or you feel like what is happening to that particular character, if you're in the audience, that it's happening to you, because it can be also very relatable.
The wonderful thing about indies is indies are wonderful things. Corporate is made out of money, and all that money comes with strings. But the indie world is fun because you don't have those strings, and there are no strings on me. You're welcome.
I love that, and I want to use that. Can I use that?
Yes, you can use that.
'Cause I
Have
love
them lay a backbeat to it.
well, we can go over to Mike and we can have him do that, cut that piece of film out, and we'll jam it in there. That's because I love that. That is, oh man, this sums up what indie is. And
Yeah, when you've worked on both commercial, corporate, and indie stuff, you find you have a lot more freedom in indie. The corporate stuff has to be pigeonholed. The commercial stuff has to be wide audience.
Right.
But the independent stuff, you will know you know who your audience is. You know you're going for the USA Up All Night Gilbert Gottfried movie-a-thon. You know, you were going for the Swamp Shark. You're going for,
Yeah. Woo! I got some memories on that, let me tell you.
yeah, you're this, you know, and that's where your aim is. So if you're aiming at that, you know what you're hitting, you know where you're going with, and
Right.
and it's easier, it's more freeing to just knock that out of the park.
So, Mike, give us a little bit more of the kind of like the guttural piece of what it's like to make soundtrack or beats for this kind of genre.
Well, I do, like I was saying, a lot of indie films, and I've done bigger budget stuff. And I was just sort of thinking today, actually, that the higher budget stuff, you know, the trend right now is sort of more drones and sound design a bit. But a lot of the indie stuff that I'm doing, I can really explore doing scores, because I mean it's all kind of satire too. I mean, I'm thinking of Ouija Shark 2 here, which did fairly well in Japan. It's still showing there at little theaters, so that's kind of fun. And but the score is, I did a musical number. I did there's metal in it. There's real big John Williams, action score stuff in it. So really the sky is the limit with indie.
Will there be a Ouija Shark 3?
Oh,
Yes.
Yes.
I could say that.
oh my.
John Migliore is working on it right now, I would imagine.
Well, he's got,
He's another talent. Please, since Jeff decided he wanted to bring his name up, go ahead and give us the audience a little bit of insight of who John is.
John's a brilliant actor and creator, and he's been directing for years, and he's doing movies constantly, and he's doing something that's not related to Ouija Shark at all right now, but it's just balls to the wall again, and that's the way John is. It's just always just full on creativity and low budget spirit, and high concept, low budget. I think that's the way we'd say. So, what was I talking about again?
Well, let me see. There was music, and then there was acting, and then there was, special effects. What do you want to talk about? This is a talk show. The score. The topic for that particular segment was about what it's like to be able to create the kind of music that has a more of a guttural feeling in these particular kinds of horror films.
And usually I go through every scene, every moment with a fine-tooth comb, and really try to get the most out of every single minute in a movie. And like I said, this one was a little bit different because it was sort of assignments, and they sort of plop it in, sort of thing, and it worked really well when I saw it. So usually it's more like the music is almost it fits the movie like a glove, like it's melded to the action in the movie. So yeah, this was a little bit different, but usually I feel like I'm sort of the movie is, I'm a sweater. The music is like a sweater for the movie. Custom sweater.
And trying to figure out how to be able to get over to where I need for a, there we are. All right. So I want to be able to show the trailer that I've been putting up on my page about this, and hopefully the sound and everything else will come out the way I need it to. And I don't see
You have
that.
to say it has to be beneath the old dark house.
Right. Yes.
You don't want to be on top of the old dark house.
It's a little crazy out there. There we are. Let's see. And I'm still not exactly used to how all of these work. So I need to figure out how to get this out of the way.
They're guests. Stay for a bite. Sit a spell. And join us beneath the old dark house. Beneath the old dark house. If you lived here, you'd be dead by now.
I love that. That was cool.
So 80s, so retro.
When I first got the hint that I was going to be able to bring you guys on for this particular film, I was like, oh, okay, what is this about? And I watched that, and I watched it on the big screen, because you can do that now with YouTube and all the other apps that they have on televisions. And I was like, yeah, that's going to be cool. I like that a lot. So when actually did this come out? And I know that it is on shelves, but the other thing is I'd like to find out exactly how I can get a full copy, because I want to watch the whole thing.
So I think Scream Team released it finally, may have been June of 2022. I actually had to go to, we were having a horror convention nearby, and I went to the convention specifically because Scream Team releasing was going to be there. And that's where I got my first copy of it. But you can get, I believe everything's through the Scream Team releasing website. You can get DVD and Blu-ray. You can get the limited edition VHS, and it just they do a great job, as Tom alluded to earlier. They do a great job with everything. And I know Tyler talked about The Barn as one of their huge hits. But yeah, check out their whole catalog. But definitely, if you want Beneath the Old Dark House, that's the place to go.
And it's definitely not for children at all. It's very adult. So if you get this film and you decide that you want to watch it, you might want to use some discretion, because it's got some very interesting things within it. And that's why I was hoping to get one of the Scream Queens on, because we get a little bit of a sense from the ladies as to what it was like to work in this film. But yeah, so that's what we have here. I think I have a couple of other shots that I want to bring. Yeah, here's one. Tom, did you have a part in this one?
I did not. That is not my handiwork. I will make no claims to such a manner.
Okay.
That's not me.
That Matt did that one on Christy Golf, I believe, is the actress
Okay.
there. She's a local. Matt
Yeah.
did all the prosthetic makeup on that. They're all just little stick-on prosthetics, and then the edges just melt away with some alcohol, and then he just adds his own. He's got his own formula for blood. So yeah, I think that's all Matt's handiwork. He did that a lot. He'd play director and special effects artist. He also sculpted the doll. I don't know if a lot of people know that he sculpted the doll himself.
Well,
And Tyler's gone.
I didn't touch anything. My hands were right here. Here.
It's that doll. The doll.
That's all he said. He
Keep
said the
talking
name.
about
Said
it.
the name.
Talked about it so
Damn
many
doll.
times.
That's what happens. Yeah. So, okay. Lots of things happen on Zombiepalooza Radio Live, and that's one of them. All right. So we've talked about a lot of different topics. Is there anyone here that would like to be able to say something either about the technique that was used or anything that has to do with the film that you want the audience to know?
There's several segments in The Bride which are just, after the second watch, you got to think, how did they do that? And I would just want you to know, no drugs were involved. Not on my end. But obviously, once you watch it a second time, you're going to go, that's not true, Tom. That is another local actress in the Shenandoah Valley area. I can't think of her name right now.
I just wanted to try and get as many of the shots in here that were part of that. And
I'm not sure what segment she was used in. She was not used in The Bride.
And the other thing was like, none of these are labeled.
Of course not.
I know Matt is very dedicated. Talking about the effects, everything's a practical effect because that's just the school he grew up in. That's the 80s type of horror, and he does an amazing job with the practical effects. But speaking of the Scream Queens, Christy Johnson, who was in the doll segment, I think she might be one of the hardest working people in independent film because she's constantly just pushing the boundaries, not just in horror, but everything. And Matt has a unique ability to attract some great talent and some really beautiful women, if I can say that without getting canceled.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, all right, so let's get into that a little bit since we touched that topic. In these particular kinds of films, should I let him in? Yeah, probably should let him in. In these particular kinds of films, it is a homage to the original Scream Queens and bringing people on that can act as well as look fabulous while doing it. I think it adds to some of the fun because a lot of times people are watching these just for pure brain candy. And, so give a little bit more about the role of the Scream Queen.
Simply put, their job is to sell the terror. You want to invest in the character. You want to invest in what's going on. Basic Filmcraft 101 is cinema is a celebration of life. Horror movies on the surface are the antithesis of that. But in reality, for your characters in your movie, for us to care about them as an audience, they have to have a reason for us to care about them.
Right.
Because a lot of Americans are superficial and beauty's only skin deep. That's as far as some people are comfortable in going. They don't want to know any more than that. And so in the 80s, the horror movies capitalized on that. So knowing that and relying on that, you just go right off of that. And as long as she doesn't violate any of the basic common decency rules of being a good person, the audience follows her along. And the longer she's on the screen, the longer she's screaming, the more the audience cares about if she makes it out of this predicament or not. And that's when the real drama begins, and the bloodthirsty, walls soaked in blood, demons screaming, happening keeps going.
It's what do I want to say? All right, so there was a topic about background actors and the IMBD pages and all of that other kind of thing. And maybe it might be something I want to talk about here. For some people, they think that these kinds of films, they're not real films because, you know, they don't have big budget and they don't have Paramount or some other a large company with the name on it. And they look at these kinds of films, these really cool films, as less than. Anyone want to hit that for a second and have that conversation about that particular issue?
It comes down to petty jealousy. They would love all of the A-list celebrities I've ever worked with, ever hung out with, ever spent time with. They would love to be in a regular indie movie, whether it's horror or comedy. It's an indie movie. They get to actually stretch their chops. They actually get to fully embody a character. They do so much PG stuff, general audience stuff. My biggest example is Bob Saget, rest in peace. Soon as he was off America's Funniest Home Videos and he went on tour on the stage, the man was a dumpster fire. He just let her rip and it was glorious. Every third word was an F-bomb.
People were shocked.
Yeah.
He was
like
able to.
America's Dad was
Whoa.
not America's Dad.
You know, I remembered some of that when it came out in the news in the media, and I was like, you know, this guy, he has a life outside of what he's doing in this television set that, you know, you turn on every week and, oh, there he is. Well, he's a real person.
Yeah, he was a real
there
person.
was a movie called The Aristocrats. And it was basically everybody telling the same joke, which is a very filthy joke. And by far, I think Bob Saget had one of the filthiest versions of the joke in the movie.
I've tried to tell that joke before, sort of impromptu. Don't ever try it. It's for professionals only.
What's the joke? Now you opened your
They
pie
nearly,
hole. You got to
I
do
can't.
the joke.
No, it's too long. Or
Oh.
it was too long when I told it. That's for sure.
Yeah, it can be a long joke, and the longer it is, the filthier it gets. And you know, I'm not sure what your audience is here, so you know, I try not to tell that one in mixed company.
Yeah.
You'll get canceled. You'll get canceled. There's no doubt about it.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about that C word, you know, that cancel word. I am like over it. I'm over it. If you enjoy a particular film genre made by indie people and you love it, you are the kind of people we want. If you look at stuff like this and you go, oh, I could do better, or you know, blah blah blah, whatever you're blah blahing about, you know, take yourself someplace else, because there are plenty of other people who have never seen anything like this, and they're going to be sparked. They're going to be sparked to, you know, watch and see what it's all about. The fact that this is done 80s style and it is done practical effect, I think was the entire thing done practical effect, or was it so? Because I was under the impression that maybe a little bit wasn't, But if this is 100% practical effect, yes, because we have
There's
so much crap coming out that is made by CGI and every other alphabet, and it is not what I would consider, I'm going to be, true horror. That is practical effect. That is all practical effect for me. And I know I'm probably going to get some hate, but who wants to open up that can of worm?
Yeah, speaking on the cancel thing, I think that only applies to people who let it apply to them. We're indie filmmakers, and a lot of us do. Like Mike Trebilcock, he's done a lot more bigger and better things than I have. So maybe he could speak on this a little differently than I have. I can, but I think being canceled only applies to those who let it apply to them. And most of us are middle class Americans who are just trying to make films and do our passion and everything else. So it doesn't apply to us. We don't care. We're going to keep making what we're going to make. And if you cancel us, it doesn't matter. So I think that word only holds so much. I don't know a good word for that, but it doesn't hold any malice to me or probably any of the guys on the screen right now. But I could only imagine a big name, if you get canceled out there in the public eye, I'm sure that would hurt your career. But that's why indie filmmaking is so great. It doesn't matter. Whatever we put out, we're going to keep making, we're going to keep coming.
It is important to be able to keep new ideas coming. It is important to learn off of the old ways, old techniques, just in case you have a special effect that you're doing in a newer film. You can take a look at what they did in some of the other works back in the day, or you can, open up some books or look at some videos that got a plethora of information out there to be able to design special effects. And they are very, very detailed. Doing it as someone who's just walking into the game of creating indie effects or making personas like this, characters like this, just get in there and do it, because that's how you learn. Right? Yeah. Can I get
amen.
Can I get an amen? All right. So let's see. What time is it? It is 8:23. Is there anyone else here that would like to have any other say about this film, whether it be someone that they want to also address to make sure that they get their name put on here, or anything that they want to say personally about working on this film?
Yeah, somebody we didn't talk about yet, Jesse Knight. Yeah, he filmed The Bride, a couple other bits and pieces. He's worked with Matt shooting a big chunk of Night of the Living Dead Genesis. I've worked with him a few times. Great dude, seriously, salt of the earth, great dude. And hopefully he's ever watching this. I miss you, buddy. I'll be home soon. And yeah, Matt is probably working with him right now at this very minute for their Coffin Tooth project that they're hand in hand on. And I'm looking forward to the magical movie voodoo that they do to come out.
And also the aforementioned John Miore was involved at the end, in the end process, some of the editing and sort of fixing it up, I guess, at the very, very end. I know he edited some of the songs in, and so he was another hand that people might forget about.
That's a long process.
He's done a lot of stuff with Matt.
That's a long process. A lot of times people they only see the finished product, and they really don't have insight into all of the steps that it takes to be able to put it out, even as it is post-production, the
Every,
coloration, the
every movie is a
music,
miracle.
all of that. Yes, absolutely. The other thing that I love about working with indie people is this. They get an idea, they write it out, they scene it out, they however they do it. And some of these ideas they take years to do. But once they get it into a productive forward movement and they keep it going, no matter how long it takes, and they have a finished product that they can either, I don't know, enjoy with their friends or, you know, get it out for distribution, they are in a very, very rare percentage. We have 1 to 10% that will be in the entire group of Creative Mind. Then it goes down to half, because a lot of times they'll get into a project and they'll be like, they feel like they're way over their head, or there is a lot of things that are going on in their life and they just can't get it done. But then that 1 to 5%, they keep going, but then it cuts down to only approximately 2%. 2% of all of that actually gets past post-production into distribution and into film festivals or into a larger collective where people can actually view this. How rare is it to be able to be a part of that? And if you find people that can consistently do this, that is where the magic happens. That is where people find their purpose and they find their just absolute diligence to be able to keep indie going. I really appreciate everybody who has been on the show with me tonight. Your views are extremely important and interesting for the collective that is indie. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Yes, Jackie, thank
Thanks a
you.
lot.
You do
Thanks,
so much
Jackie.
to keep the indie spirit alive. Thank you for all of
Yes,
your work.
thank you.
So now that we've got to this point, what is it about this show that has been going since 2012 that you can tell other people who have never been on it and don't know anything about it why it's important to get their works onto this show?
Well, I think any way that that you can get word out there that you've got, you know, projects on the go, that you've got, you know, maybe you've got a casting call you want to get out there, you've got a movie on the shelves that people might not know about, and I think the, you know, things like this, especially this one, is a big help to especially indie filmmakers. So it's really a huge service that you're doing.
Thank you.
Yeah, getting the word out about your movie is the hardest bit. You can only put your own word out without anyone's help for so long until you're just done running into a brick wall face first. So any avenue, any aspect that has an audience, especially Zombiepalooza, with over a decade of history of reaching out and supporting indie film is a no-brainer. You do it. You just show up, knock out your piece, you put out your movie, how to get a hold of it, go to Screen Team Releasing, purchase it today, you know, and
Talk a little bit about that, because for people who maybe have some projects and don't know about that, give us a little bit of an idea of what it's like to get into that.
Which part?
The Scream Team?
Oh, I haven't had any of my projects that I personally heralded distributed by them. I've only been on the docket of projects.
Okay.
So,
So
I can't speak on the selling of the soul, the shard, the changing of trinkets and gems. Yeah, we're waiting on Kill Giggles.
Kill
I'm waiting on
Giggles.
Kill Giggles to come out. Waiting on them, Lionsgate. Put out Kill Giggles already. Stop sitting on it. Get off your hands and put Kill Giggles out to the public.
That's Jason
Now.
Buchanan, isn't it, Tom?
What's that?
Bucharan's. That's
Yeah, Jason
Bucharan's
Bucharan's. Christy Johnson
child,
is
yeah.
in that as well. Jesse Knight was the cinematographer
Jesse,
on that as
yeah.
well.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
That's real cool. All right, so I appreciate that. Thank you very much, David. You've been so quiet.
Yeah, Dave.
Oh, taking it all in. I told you I'm a listener, not talker. So.
He did. He did say that. So do you have any last words for us before I go and close out?
Well, first of all, it's a pleasure to meet everyone that I didn't get to meet. Although I have worked with a couple of the people. Tom may or may not remember way back. Seventh Seal, John Johnson. We did a scene together several years ago. And of course, Tyler, long time ago. And Tyler, known way long. But it's nice to meet Jeff and Mike and to talk to you again. And I do want to add, I didn't expound on as much as everybody else, but I'll do that now. The service that you do for independent film is awesome. And we are grateful for it.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Let's see. Anyone else? I'm going to hit that button pretty soon. So if you have anything else to say, go ahead and do it now.
I'd like to say thanks, Jackie, for having all of us. And it was a really great homecoming to sit here and see some familiar faces. I haven't seen them in a minute, and it's cool to just get to chat and hang out in the same room with these guys. Right. And then Mike Trebilcock, he scored a short film of mine that was never distributed, and he is one of the most brilliant composers I've ever known.
Is it a horror film?
It is, yeah. It is it's a horror thriller.
Okay, I have something for you that might make you happy then.
All right.
So we finally have been recognized, and there is an amazing person that I don't know if they're still in the room listening on Facebook, but it's Eulogy Mortem. And they are responsible for a television show called Tingler, or a television station called Tingler TV, and it's on Roku. And if your film, Tyler, would like to have an air on Roku TV, let me know. I probably won't be the one that will be showing it, but there is another partner on the station that is looking for indie film that has horror element or is, all horror. And they are looking at indie, which I'm really excited about helping them to bring. So to bring a new element. And if you're interested in that, I need you to message me. And as soon as I talk to the individual that is over there on Tingler television station, we'll let you know what is happening with that. And
awesome.
Yeah. So the really cool, exciting thing about Zombiepalooza is that we are making our way onto television. And I have been trying for the past 6 years to get somebody to go, that seems like it's an interesting kind of thing to do. And what a way to be able to find new content, new things to watch, and new talent that is going to tingle the brain for a while with wonderful horror candy. And yeah, so I'm really super excited about that. There is one other announcement that I have been waiting all day to be able to announce. We have and I can never say her last name, but I'm going to try. Her name is Jewel. I I don't want to butcher the last name, but Zombiepalooza Radio has their own scream queen. And I am like so excited about Jewel. We're going to do a video with her in an interview and talking about welcoming her to the show. And I'm like super excited. So yeah. Woohoo.
Can I just real quickly plug Coffin Tooth?
Oh, please do. Yes.
Yeah. Linda and I have a scene in that also. And I don't know about the rest of you guys, but we've already shot our segment for it. So I'm excited that they're filming this weekend and looking forward to it.
Do you have an
David,
idea?
talk about Linda for a second, man. She is underrated actress.
I'll have to pass that on to her. Tyler Hall is saying very nice things about you.
Oh, put her on. We need female representation.
Oh, Jackie wants to know if you'll come on.
We want female representation. As I'm yelling into poor David's ears.
Yeah, right now.
Right now. Right now.
If she can get the dogs off her lap, she
Oh, bring the dogs. I'm surprised my cat's not sitting on
and
the chair.
actually the aforementioned Night of the Living Dead Genesis, she also has a part in that also. So, yeah.
You're holding out on me over there?
Who? She's coming. We've got 3. It takes a while to get them all off her lap now.
Linda's quite the method actress. She laid on a kitchen floor with disgusting, bloody prosthetic makeup for probably 4 or 5 hours.
Wait, you have to repeat that. You have to repeat that when she's on. Okay.
Okay, I will. Yeah.
All right.
Let her have the chair. Oh, wait.
Let me
Hold
have
on.
the chair.
Yes.
All right, let her have the chair.
Hello.
Well, hello. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. Just got rid of my lap full of beagles.
Awesome. We're going to have to get a picture of you with your beagles.
I think we've got one somewhere.
Cool. So talk about, well, first of all, Tyler has something he wants to say to you. Go ahead.
Miss
Hi,
Linda,
Tyler.
Miss Linda, it's great to see you. I have not seen you in many years, and I was just saying, I was sharing that you're probably one of the greatest method actresses I've ever worked with, because I watched you lay on a kitchen floor in an old farmhouse for like 4 or 5 hours with prosthetic makeup all over you and disgusting gory blood. So and it's just good to see you again. I just wanted to say hi.
We're not worthy. We're not worthy.
Hey, I lay around really well.
Me too. I get my coffin. I'm all good. Nobody bother me.
There you go.
So
You were supervising.
yeah. So give us a little bit of what it's like for you to be an actress, and do you method act, or do you kind of just go with the motion of what is happening in the scene?
I kind of just try to go with the motion of what's going on. I, from a very young age, my parents read to me and they taught me to read, and it wasn't just saying the words, like if the lion roared in the story, then the lion had to roar when we read, so I just kind of learned how to grab that emotion out of the text and play with it and go with it.
So you got the acting bug like real early.
Yeah, but I didn't really act on it a lot real early. I started in high school.
So I love the fact that you are very excited about indie and you seem to have a lot of passion for it. So give us some wisdom, if you will, about what it's like to follow your indie dream.
Oh gosh. It's a dream come true. My mom always said we would be sitting watching TV and watching, the Lennon sisters on Lawrence Welk, or, watching some Lassie with some little actress. And my mom would say, you can do that. You can do that, and to actually get on a film and to be able to see myself on a screen, it just is a thrill.
What is it? What is like? I've talked to a lot of actors, let me tell you, over the last 10 years. And some of them don't want to watch themselves on screen because I don't know, it does something psychological to their head. They just don't want to do it. But you're okay with watching?
Yeah. Actually, I hope that when I watch myself, if I did anything stupid, that I'll remember it next time, so I won't do that.
We all try to do that, I think.
But-
Outtakes are like really crazy sometimes around here, especially with the show. But the other part of it is I would think that when you're watching yourself doing the acting, are you convinced as a observer that you acted deeply in that character?
I think that's part of why I like to watch it, is because I want to see if what I'm doing is convincing.
So it's very strange for people to rewatch what they have put out there, and to be able to see what kind of elements that they can maybe either add or maybe make less pronounced when they're going and they're doing a scene. Have you done other scenes other than would say background work where you actually speak?
Yeah, I've done speaking parts, but really the majority of my experience is on stage, not actually on film. So, but yeah, I've done several speaking parts.
Mm-hmm.
I did I guess it was about a 15 or 20-minute short that was just me and another character for Lighthouse Studios in Charlottesville. That was lots of fun. I got to do accents, and it was an odd sort of thing. I played a character who ran an acting school, but she was in order to get her students to emote, she locked them in a basement and chained them up and fed them cat food and stuff like that. It was very weird. But anyway, so I got to do some weird stuff.
I have a cousin or something like that did that. Well, I'm a vampire, and that's kind of bringing back some memories. Wow. But yeah, I get it. So if there was a word of advice or wisdom that you could give for someone who is maybe not exactly a young spring chicken, what would you tell them if they were interested or were slightly bitten by the acting bug?
Put yourself out there. You're going to get some no's, but no doesn't hurt but for a little while. And if you don't put yourself out there, you're not going to get cast, and you're not going to be able to have the fun that we have making these movies.
It is a lot of fun.
It really is.
Yeah, I've done a couple of films, and it's all about, because I really wanted to have that experience of what it was like to be on set and what it was like to go through a lot of the things that these people that I bring on talk about. And so there's nothing like just getting your hands dirty and getting out there to go do it. Thank you. I appreciate you very much for coming on. Is there anyone here that would like to say anything to her before
we give David back his headset and his chair?
I don't know. I might not give him back his chair. I like you talk. He's so quiet. He's like, shh.
He's like that with me too.
Okay, go ahead. who would like to say something?
I'm
anything?
just glad. I'm glad we were able to get a Scream Queen on after all. So good job.
To represent. All right. So wow.
Good to see you, Miss Linda.
Good to see you too, Tyler. Hope to see you in person sometime soon.
We're not too far from each other, so we're gonna have to get dinner or something here soon.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes, ma'am.
That sounds real good. Part of the reason why I started Zombiepalooza Radio Live was because of the power of voice. My husband was going through some very interesting military veteran issues, and the only way that I could think of trying to help him, because other things were not working, was to get a bunch of his friends together, sort of like this. And we didn't have video, but we did have audio, and got them together for 2 hours, and it helped. And so what you're doing on this show, all of you, and David too, wherever you scattered off to, you're helping people be able to realize that there are other ways to be able to become more grounded. And if it is in fact in the creative world of indie, please come on and do your thing. Get out there, do the crazy thing that you've probably wanted to do ever since you were a little kid, and get out there and create. It's very important what all of you are doing, and you are touching many, many lives by your creative process. I appreciate you all. And to Matt Cloude, who is off creating, thank you for making Beneath the Old Dark House. Thank you, guys. I'm gonna go and find my music, and hopefully I just gotta make sure that the sound is on and all of that. And we're go.
Floating through some clouds, through the sky. Floating through some clouds, sky. Floating through some clouds. Ooh.
This has been Zombiepalooza Radio Live. We appreciate everybody who has come in, and thank you so much for your time. To our audience, thank you very much for listening, tapping that like, share, and making comments during the show. Thank you. Have a good week.
Bye.
Thanks.